Okay, so you have you have exposure to a lot of newbie investors. You know, I know you work with Andrew Holmes Group. You work with a bunch of other groups and early on investors buying their first, second, third properties. And I think you're even a newer investor up until maybe your seventh or eighth, because I think I know I see a lot of people that their mistakes happen on the third and fourth deal because they don't pay as much attention as they did on the first and second deal, and they let these things kind of slip through and mistakes happen. But give us maybe a couple of mistakes that you see happen that our listeners can avoid that you recommend.
So as it relates to wholesaling, Mark, number one mistake that wholesalers make is when you are signing the contract with the original seller, you must control the title. Let me peel back the onion on that very quickly. In Illinois, under the Illinois Title Insurance Act, the party who's responsible for paying for title has the ability to order title. More importantly, how do lawyers make money on title insurance? Let's pull back the curtains here. Most attorneys, most of the money they make in a real estate transaction is a result of getting paid by the title company. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if we take the concept that the party who's responsible for ordering title and paying for title has the ability to get paid, how do you get the property from A to B and then B to C, the end buyer, if you're not controlling that title? Because if the seller is responsible for paying for title, then that seller's attorney is going to want to order the title because that's how we make money. So oftentimes we see contracts where it says that the end buyer is going to be required to pay for title, or that the seller is going to be required to pay for title. The B party, that middle party, that wholesaler, you must control the transaction in order to control your variables. That's as simple as that.
Gary, I'll chime in real quick. Even if you're not wholesaling, let's say you're flipping a property, it's taking Cook County so long to record now. If you're direct with the seller on the front end, you still want to control that. And then, because then when you go to sell, you can go to the same title company that you bought from and make everything a lot smoother. You can control where escrow is at. So this, I just want to make the point, this doesn't just apply to wholesaling. Great points, but it's also broader than that, and it can just make life a lot easier.
And Tom, that's an excellent point, because on every REO deal that I do with Ryan Smith, you know, these title companies, they're in India, they're in, you know, Atlanta, Georgia. And what happens is if you're buying and flipping a property and that deed doesn't get recorded, you can't sell it. And by the way, there's Fannie Mae seizing restrictions where we have to own these properties and have them recorded for 90 days. And if that doesn't take place and it takes forever to record the deed, then you're having to explain it to the lender and explain all that. If you are closing with your title company, and let's say your title company's Chicago Title or Fidelity Title, they're going to automatically, whether they record that deed or not, they're going to insure your transaction because they've got the deed. So Tom, great point. You're going to want to control that. We've got all the forms for that. The second thing that I would say is, again, this is all about following the money. You know, if you're going to try to get a property from Ryan Smith, you know, one of the things that you might consider is seeking out another broker in Ryan's a company to act as your agent, so that the same brokerage is earning both sides of that commission. Because how are they going to be incentivized? They're going to be more incentivized to sell you that property if they're earning both sides of that commission. Now, Ryan needs to get the highest and best. Ryan's got the highest integrity out there of anyone. But it's obviously you're going to have that competitive inside advantage when you're working with that listing agent. So very, very good. Unless you have somebody like a Frank Montreux, right? Because Frank knows everybody. And so he's going to have that edge as well. So that would be another thing. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but oftentimes working with a listing agent can provide you with a very, very competitive advantage there.
Let me reiterate that in a different way. So if you see a property on Redfin and it's listed by Ryan or just whoever it might be listed by, asking them to put someone from their office in place to represent you. Now you might be working with a real estate agent already. I know that was one of the ways we got deals is we went right to the listing agent. We said that you could represent us or we could represent ourselves, and you get full side of the deal, and it gives some incentive to make sure that they get the deal done while staying within ethical bounds. Now I've done it. I've seen people do it, and I've recommended doing this where if you're working with a real estate agent, then you might even have your real estate agent do it on behalf of you, and then you pay your real estate agent out of pocket, just kind of build it into your cost. So getting the deal done at list price right now versus having to get it but dealing with a bunch of multiple offers and paying $5 or $10,000 over, you're better off buying at list and paying your own agent a couple grand while working with the listing broker as kind of a little kind of hack there to get the deal.
And I guess. And the third thing, and this is in no particular order, it's, I guess, similar to the second thing is we see this all the time. Frank knows all the wholesalers. People bring Frank the deal first. He gets last look at a lot of these things. And, real estate investors, the first thing they do is they run out and get their real estate license. And God bless you, you should. There's a lot of reasons to have your real estate license and have it in your back pocket. But if Frank is bringing you a deal, use some common sense, and you're going to list that property with Frank on the back end. Because if you think you're saving money, most investors step over dollar bills, $100 bills to pick up pennies, right? I mean, how many times do you think somebody like Frank Montrose is going to sell you a property if he gives you a great deal and then you go ahead and list it yourself? So you're losing thousands, tens of thousands of dollars by acting in that very, very self-serving way. So it's all about, again, building those partnerships and following what incentivizes people and building those relationships and just doing the right thing, doing right by other people. And Tom, as you said, the key to this whole thing is give without any expectation of return. Give without any expectation of return. Because if this is a quid pro quo, all bets are off. That's not a go-giver mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, we see it all the time on Bigger Pockets. There's the guy who's putting something out there just to put his or her name out there, right? And then there's the person who's genuinely trying to answer questions and try to help, right? Like it's also very easy to see through that, I feel. People pick up on that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's crazy, and that's one of the things. Like I actually, Mark, you probably don't know this, or maybe you do. I reached out to Jared because I said, man, I got to meet this Mark Ainley guy because I kept hearing about all of the selfless things that you do to help other people. Just had Jason Marcodes over at my house bass fishing the other day. And he's talking, oh man, this Mark Ainley guy, he's a great guy. I'm like, I got to meet this guy. He's just like me. So, those are the sorts of things that sometimes, I'm sure you and Tom do this sometimes. Sometimes you hit yourself in the head saying, gee, should I be this way? Should I be so selfless? But you really can't count the value of those things because you don't really get that feedback oftentimes. You don't know that you have people out there that are proselytizing and saying, man, this guy has done so much for me and asked for nothing in return.